But for Ohio State University med students Brian Shaffers and Alexis Wagoner, the time off meant a romantic getaway in South Florida.
We were going to go to Miami for spring break. He had spent all sorts of time finding the plane tickets and picking up the perfect hotel, and he was so excited about it.
I know he was really in love with her and wanted to get married.
Brian planned on popping the question during their spring break vacation.
Hey, gorgeous. I just want to say hi and tell you that you're an amazing woman and I love you. So, alright. Bye.
But the 27-year-old future doctor never made it to Miami.
He studied so hard that month and he was ready to go on vacation. I still, this day, don't know why, being tired like that, why he had to go out that night.
Friday night, March 31st, 2006. Brian decided to kickstart spring break without Alexis. Around 11 p.m., he met up with some buddies to go bar hopping near Ohio State's campus.
When I talked to him, he said, "This is my chance to talk about you with the guys, and I love you, and I will see you in just a couple days."
That was the last time Alexis spoke to Brian, just 3 days before their trip.
On Saturday, when I had tried to give Brian a call, he didn't answer his phone. It just went right to his voicemail, so I thought he was just probably sleeping. On Sunday morning, when I still couldn't get a hold of him, that's when we got a hold of his dad, and that day we got a hold of the police.
We received a missing persons report on Brian Shaffer, where he had been out with some friends and had not returned home. We called the hospitals, checked the homeless shelters, those types of places, just to see if he had showed up at one of those locations, and no one had seen him.
I was hoping and praying that I was going to find him curled up in his apartment, but everything was perfect. His bed was made, the bathroom was dry, his car was there. It looked like nothing had happened.
Shaffer's family and friends helped detectives piece together a timeline of where Brian had been Friday night.
He was with two of his friends that evening in the High Street corridor.
They were having a good time. They went to this Ugly Tuna Saloon bar, and then they had some drinks there, shots.
At closing time, Clint and Meredith, his two friends, checked the bar to see if they could locate Brian.
And they said that they looked all around the bar, looked in the bathroom, and never saw him, so they left at like 2:09 and drove away.
Brian's companions offered investigators one additional piece of information.
Clint and Meredith did say when they got ready to leave, supposedly Brian went to talk to the band.
We interviewed the band that played the night that Brian went missing, and they weren't able to really provide any information. The Ugly Tuna Saloon employees answered every question that we asked. However, they weren't able to provide anything that was pertinent or helpful.
We canvassed the area looking for him. We looked inside the building, inside the bar.
We went down through the alleys and actually went through every single trash can and everything, just hoping that maybe somebody might have beat him up, and didn't find anything.
We went and we walked up and down the Olentangy River.
We searched about the whole campus with search dogs and never really came up with anything.
But the critical piece of evidence was right there in the vicinity of the bar. Security cameras throughout the area recorded some of Brian's actions the night he vanished. The footage allowed police to walk in his footsteps.
That evening, they entered the parking garage, parked in the area behind me, walked in this direction between the pylons, past the elevators to the doors. Brian, Clint, and Meredith walked up this corridor to the door to the Ugly Tuna Saloon. Once they entered the doorway, they approached the escalator. They stepped on the escalator with Brian in front. As they went up the escalator, Brian turned to look back at Meredith and Clint, and they were laughing and joking and obviously having a good time. When they got to the top of the escalator, Brian turned around to step off. All this was picked up on the camera at the top of the escalator.
Around 1:15 a.m., Brian entered the Ugly Tuna. There were no cameras inside. The next time Shaffer appeared on the security footage was 40 minutes later. He was standing outside the entrance to the bar.
This is the area where Brian was last seen. To my right, he was seen on camera speaking with two young ladies that he'd met inside the bar. After speaking with the young ladies, he turned and walked back into the bar, at which time we lost him on camera.
That was the final surveillance image of Brian Shaffer. Mysteriously, no security camera ever picked up Brian leaving the bar or the complex.
There's several scenarios that we took into consideration when thinking about how Brian could have got out of the Ugly Tuna Saloona undetected.
One theory proposed that Brian could have left the building through the bar's emergency exit on the ground level.
This area here is the emergency exit. This is the only other exit from the Ugly Tuna Saloona.
And the way this door is set up is as soon as the door opens, there's a camera outside that automatically pans in and zooms on whoever's coming out. So the possibility that he left through that exit is not there.
Still, there were other exit points not monitored by cameras.
There were several areas around the Ugly Tuna Saloona that were under construction the night that Brian Shaffers went missing.
And it would be possible for somebody to maybe make their way through the construction area and get out to the outside of the building.
We had dogs come in and actually smell the area and search for Brian, and we had no findings at that time.
Police have no reason to suspect the Ugly Tuna Saloona employees of any wrongdoing. And they've never found blood or other evidence to suggest that Brian fell victim to foul play inside the bar.
We never found his cell phone. There's never been any activity on his credit cards at all. And he didn't carry cash. So, I mean, it just kind of makes me wonder.
It's still a possibility that Brian could have walked away and left on his own. We've looked into that.
The most likely route he would have taken would have been back behind me to High Street, which would be the direction of his apartment. At that time, there would have been people in the courtyard here that may have seen something that would help us in our investigation.
But at this time, we have nothing solid that shows that that's what happened to Brian Shaffers.
The case is still open. We're still actively investigating leads that we have.
But the uncertainty of what happened to Brian is killing his family.
You keep on telling yourself, no, he's still out there, but after this long a time and they find nothing, you always have the thoughts like, yeah, someone did something bad to him.
It's a huge roller coaster because you start to let yourself think, if I see him, what will I do? How amazing would it be to get to go run and throw my arms around him and smell him again and see him smile again? Any of those things. I just want him to come home.
Still have a decent feeling that he's out there and he'll come home one day, hopefully.
There's a $25,000 reward for any information about Brian's disappearance.
Please have a conscience and please call in and tell what you know so I can find my son. It's so important to have both my boys. I just want him back so much.
For Alexis, Brian's case serves as a painful reminder. No matter the location, even the most low-key spring break night can turn tragic.
He was perfect, and I have so much in common with him. How in the world could this have happened? Why is it that on this week, when we're supposed to have taken a trip together, why is it that I'm just trying to find him?
Hey, Alexis, I just want to say I love you, and I want to give you more hugs and kisses. So, alright, bye, baby.
If you about Brian Shaffers' disappearance, please contact Central Ohio Crime Stoppers at 1-877-645-8477 or log on to www.findbrianshaffer.com for more details.